guys, I'm Damiwan Shashamplia. I'll be talking to you guys about communication today. Human beings have always been social animals, as we all know, and they can never ever live alone. So, no matter what, they can never ever put themselves in that place where they isolate themselves and stay away from everyone. So, communication is always needed. Communication is a two-way process of conveying information, ideas, feelings, or opinions between two or more persons. Communication doesn't have to mean that just talking to the other person, but it can also be done by just looking at the other person and knowing what the other person is saying, is trying to say, or what the other person is thinking about just by looking at them and not talking. Keith Davis defined communication as a process of passing information and understanding from one person to the other. So my group member will be telling you guys more about communication.
Now let's talk about the characteristics of communication in workplace. It is also called as 7 C's communication. Moving on to the first one, clear. Here we have to make the objectives clear and by avoiding the complex words or phrases. Concise. Long sentences can be avoided and make it clear to the point. Concrete. Always be particular in using the facts and figures to support your message. Correct. Usage of correct level of language and avoiding typos can be followed. Coherent. The message should make sense, so it has to follow correctly by covering everything. Complete. It includes a call to action, which means it must contain every single detail in your message. Courteous. Most importantly, it's good to be polite and share thoughtful messages.
Now we come to the types of communication. So basically there are 3 types of communication, that is visual, verbal and non-verbal. So visual is where boards and pamphlets are included, wherein they have the do's and the don'ts. So basically in India, most of these do's and don'ts are written in 3 languages, that is the local language, Hindi and English. So now we come to the verbal. Verbal is where the administrator will actually speak one-on-one with the employees to convey the message. And then non-verbal is where you have the administrator sends these messages through email or gestures through modes of technology.
Effective communication in an organization will lead everyone to be on the same page, moving in the same direction towards the same goal. So, there are some strategies which can be employed to have effective communication in an organization. They are by creating an open communication environment. This allows the employees to be more engaged and understand that their work matters for the success of the business. By employing inclusive communication strategy, that is by sharing information or communicating in a way that everybody understands. The communication should be a two-way process. The exchange of ideas, views, thoughts, etc. must be both upward and downward. The instruction procedure must be result-oriented. Must employ multiple channels to transfer messages so that the message is transferred in a more effective and faster way.
I'll be talking about the remaining 4 strategies that are really very effective to have a good communication. The first one, focus on listening. The listener has to pay good attention to the person who is communicating the information, which would enable the listener to get the most of the information that's been conveyed, and it would prevent from any misunderstanding taking place. The second one, communication with transparency and clarity. The communicator needs to convey the message with utmost clarity and without hiding anything, which would enable the listeners to get the information with clarity and with full transparency. The third one, monitoring and evaluation. Communication, it plays a very vital role in the monitoring and evaluation process and managing different sorts of communication problems. If any problem is happening in a workplace, through communication the problem can be sorted out. So all these points regarding strategies would really be very effective in having a good communication.
communication in the workplace is very important for companies to work efficiently and productively. Employees can experience increased morale, productivity, and commitment if they can communicate up and down a company's communication chain. The importance of strong communication runs deep within the workplace. 5 important reasons include: first, innovation. When employees have the opportunity to express their ideas openly, they are more likely to present their ideas without fear of ridicule or retaliation. Growth. Communication can be seen internally and externally. By associating yourself internally, by establishing strong communication channels, you ensure the consistency of externally delivered messages. Effective communication. When executives are strong communicators, they can better manage their teams. Team building. Creating effective team requires communication and mutual cooperation. Giving a voice to all. As mentioned earlier, employee satisfaction can be very much dependent on their having a voice and being listened to, whether it is in regard to an idea they have or about a complaint that they need to make.
Effective communication. There are 5 different ways through which effective communication can be carried out. The first is open communication environment. An organization should aim at developing an environment where all its employees can share their feedback. The second is inclusive communication strategy. This is where all the members in an organization are part of a decision taken by the organization. This encourages employees to be more productive and also given their creative ideas. The third is two-way communication. Communication should never be one way. It is a two-way process wherein every member should have the authority to ask questions or voice their opinions, which will in turn help them feel empowered. The fourth one is results-driven business communication. This means that communication must be result-oriented and focus on acquiring fruitful results for the organization. And the last one is multi-channel communication. Everyone learns and processes information at different rates, and to make sure that each and every member of the organization receives the message, it is important to communicate through diverse channels.
Yes, indeed, communication is one of the most important factor that we all have to have in our lives. Especially in this time when the world is becoming a global village, it is very much important and very much keen that we all have good communication skills. It is not about being a good communicator, but it is about being an effective communicator in the places that you are in. So even as this world is moving to a global village, and we all work in various sectors, all the sectors, irrespective of which sector, which place or how it is, one thing is important. One thing that is very much important is how we communicate. How effectively are we able to communicate? How effectively are we able to transmit our ideas to other persons, and they receiving that idea and perceiving it in the right manner. And when this happens, there is changes that is going to happen in the society that is for the good cause. So we really hope that this video has helped you to grasp some of the ideas on how to be an effective communicator and the importance of communication as such.